All right. Hey, sixth grade health. This is a long one, 107 to 119, but actually it probably won't be too long. Depends on how I'm feeling, I guess, today. So we've been talking about your nerve endings and your receptors and all of that, and our senses. And today we're going to talk about your hearing, your sense of hearing. And of course, we hear through a series of sound waves. Sound waves travel like as I talk, then the sound waves travel and they go out. Well, of course, if you were in class, they would go to your ears. Here, it goes into the computer shows it to you, and then that sound wave goes into your ears. But anyways, your outer ear, of course, is made mainly of cartilage, and that's like that flexible, stuff right in here. It's also in the tip of your nose, yeah. And that cartilage is kind of like more flexible. Can you imagine if your ear was made up of just hard bone? That wouldn't be good. Um, so, anyways, your outer ear catches, and it's a marvel of design, a perfect design that would catch the sound waves. And as it catches the sound waves, it sends them down your auditory canal, which is lined with some hairs and cilia basically. And that's basically just to keep out moisture, to keep out bugs, to keep out dust and things like that. And then it goes down into your eardrum and it hits your eardrum. Of course, your eardrum is basically like a little flap of skin and it's tight and it's over like a drum. That's why they call it the eardrum. And it separates the outer ear from the middle ear, and the sound waves strike that eardrum and it causes it to vibrate. And then those vibrations basically differ depending upon the sound waves. And if I'm high or if I'm low, or as I say the words, how I say them, it produces different types of sound waves. It's amazing and it's like so difficult to comprehend. But anyway, so then the eustachian tube, it connects the middle ear with the back of the throat, or like into your nasal cavity, like your ears, your nose, your nasal cavity, all in here, your throat, all of that. It's all connected. Um, and so basically, it's kind of collapsed most of the time. It opens whenever you swallow, when you yawn, when you blow your nose, when you do this, and it clears your eustachian tubes. When you get an ear infection, that eustachian tube gets inflamed and it hurts and that kind of thing. It gets fluid in there, and it's not supposed to have fluid in there. So it allows air to fill the middle ear, so there's pressure on both sides of your eardrum or your ear there, eardrum. All right, so um, basically that middle ear, it goes into it vibrates the eardrum, and the eardrum basically sends the vibrations through. It's called the hammer, anvil, and stirrup in this book, and that's what you've been taught for, I don't know how many ever years you've been alive, right? 12 and 13. Actually, it's called the incus, the malleus, and the stapes. And next year, boom, it switches to the incus, the malleus, and the stapes. And so they look like a hammer and an anvil and a little stirrup. And that's why they've called them a hammer, anvil, and stirrup for all of your life. But the actual technical, scientific doctor terms are the incus, the malleus, and the stapes. And of course, that is just for free for you. Okay, so the vibrations strengthen as they go through those three bones. Those are also the tiniest bones in your body, the incus, the malleus, and the stapes. You can still call them hammer, anvil, and stirrup. Okay, until next year. Huh. All right, so then it goes into those vibrations continue to strengthen louder, and then basically it goes into the inner ear after that. In the inner ear, there's this little snail-shaped organ down there, and it's called the cochlea, and that is in your inner ear. It's about the size of a pea. All right, so you can kind of think of it down in there, and it's filled with liquid. It also helps you to keep your balance as well. So anyway, so these vibrations in the liquid stimulate the auditory nerve. Now, auditory has to do with the ears. Remember we talked about olfactory had to do with the nose. Auditory has to do with the ears. And so stimulates the auditory nerve, and then the auditory nerve converts that into a message that your brain can understand. Right? I mean, it's amazing. So it travels as waves to your ear, and then undergoes all of this through just a little, just that little split second there, and then through the cochlea and into the auditory nerve to transmit it as a message for your brain to be able to understand. It's phenomenal. And think of all the things we hear. We hear high pitches, low pitches, music, words, shouting, whispering. We can tell the difference between it all. And even just like, the sound of the ocean. You know what I mean? And in our brain, it's so amazing to me. And anyway. All right, so be careful with your ears. Also, you have liquid-filled semicircular canals. That's really what helps mostly with your balance. And one time I had it, or well, I've had a couple inner ear infections, and that gets infected, that fluid gets infected, and literally it feels like you can't even function because you get so dizzy. So you know how whenever you bend over and you come back up quickly, and you're kind of like, "Woo!" Maybe you not as much, but as we get older, we really do that. That's because those semicircular canals have to help with the balance in your body. So as you go down and then come back up, if you do it slowly, it balances out quickly, easier, more easily. But then if you don't, then it's kind of like makes you feel a little bit dizzy, and that's why that happens. So it's helping you with your balance. You gotta make sure you take care of your ears, take good care of your ears, and don't listen to things that are too loud whenever you put your headphones on. All right, don't turn it up too loud. Your earbuds, all of that. I always say an audiologist, that's the way to go, because we're all wearing earbuds and all that, and we're all going to lose our hearing by the time we're 50 or 60. And we're all going to have hearing aids. I hope not. Hopefully, you guys realize it's important. Wear protective covering when you're listening to loud, continuous sounds like mowing the lawn or weed eating or something like that. Protect your ears. And then if you're prone to ear infections, you can always very gently do like that. You are blowing, you hold your nose and you kind of blow just real gently, and you can feel it kind of pop your ear, is what we call it sometimes. But the doctor tells me to do that 5 and 6 times a day because I have some trouble with my eustachian tubes in there. And so that's what they tell me to do. But anyway, and other things, not just that, but that's what they tell me to do. So I try. I rarely get it in 5 or 6 times a day, but that helps with ear infections, they say. All right, so when you do your worksheet, you're going to see an ear, and it just looks like this, and you just fill that in. Pretty easy thing. And then on the other side of the worksheet, make sure you print it off both sides. If you print them off there, you'll want to do the eye. Which is what we're going to talk about next. And the eye is amazing. Of course, the sense of sight make up the messages in your brain. They tell you the messages, send the messages from your eyes to your brain to tell you what you're seeing. And the sclera is the tough outer layer around the entire eyeball. So almost like the clear part that goes all the way around, not the white. Okay, so that's the sclera, sclera, sclera. And then the transparent part of the sclera is called the cornea. So the part that we can actually see through is called the cornea. So the cornea is part of the sclera. Got it. All right. If you get an infection in that or inflammation in that, you might get conjunctivitis, which we know is pink eye. So anyways, the colorful part of your eye, brown, green, blue, red, no, not red. Hopefully not. Iris, that's the iris, and you know that. And then it looks like the black part of your eye, but it's actually just the opening of your eye, which of course is covered by the cornea. And that is your pupil. Your pupil is that part that actually allows light to enter. The iris is like muscular, and it opens and closes that opening of the pupil to allow a certain amount of light in. Something you can do maybe in the bathroom in the mirror, you turn off all the lights and you look in the mirror, have somebody or turn on the light, and you can watch your eyes go, whew, or whew, is what it does actually, because the pupils open up really big, all right, to where they open up really large to where it allows a lot of light in. And you know how, like, if you turn the lights off at night and you look around, everything looks pitch black dark. Then your eyes adjust and they let more light in, and they kind of go, your pupils go like this, you know. And when they do that, then you can start to see things because it's allowing the maximum amount of light into your eyes. And so then you turn on the lights. That's why all of a sudden your eyes hurt, because it literally goes like that. And it's like, no, 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 I don't want to see that much light. I don't want that much light in. So it hurts your eyes until your eyes adjust and your pupils go down to where it's allowing the certain amount of light in at a time there. So behind the iris is a lens, and it becomes thicker or thinner when you look at objects. All right. So if you look at closer objects, it kind of becomes thicker. And if you look at farther away, it becomes thinner there. The lens causes light rays to pass through and bend. That's what we call refraction. And it bends and it meets on the retina. If it doesn't bend it properly, so let's say it bends and it hits, let's say the retina's here, and let's do it this way. The retina's here and it just hits right here. We can't see it as well. Or maybe it bends it too much and it hits beyond here. That's why we are nearsighted or farsighted and we need glasses or contacts. So what they do when they go in for surgery or when they correct it with lenses is they cause that lens that's inside of your eye to make it hit just right onto the retina to where the picture can actually be nice and clear for us. And then that retina will send the image to your brain through your optical nerve. All right. So optical is the word for eyes. All right. Olfactory, nose. Auditory is ears. Optical is eyes. Okay. And you've got two things in there to help you see: color and light, and that's rods and cones. Cones are for color, CC, you can remember that. Cones, color. Rods are to help with sight and light and all that. All right, so then the optic nerve goes and sends it to the brain to where you can tell what you're seeing. If there's something wrong with the cones, then there could be color blindness. If that could just be like one type of cone that's something's wrong with, and maybe they don't see green or they don't see red. But like if you don't see red, you wouldn't see maroon because red, it's got the red pigment in it, so everything looks a little bit off, basically, if you have that problem. Of course, all of this is protected in your eye sockets here, and that's the bones that your eyes sit back in. And of course, they protrude out just a little bit more for some than others, and that's to help protect your eyes. Of course, you have eyelashes, eyelids, eyebrows. Some of you, some of us, I don't have that many, but anyways, that helps protect as well. And that is really good as well. I'm going to just let you read about avoiding eye strain, preventing injuries. Make sure you read about that. Ophthalmologists are medical doctors who specialize in eye disease and treatments of eye disease. Ophthalmologist. An optometrist is somebody who you probably go to quite often and check your eyes to get contacts or glasses and something like that. So know the difference between the two of those, ophthalmologist and optometrist. All right, there. Which brings us to 116 through 119. You've got that one day to read. And again, I'm not going to go over it too much. To help your senses and to become the healthiest person you can be, you need to get enough rest. All right, so none of this going to bed at 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning and getting up at 6 or 7 or whatever. It's really good to establish patterns and to where your body can allow to have enough rest. So good rest. Your body heals itself when it's resting and when you're sleeping. So you really need to get enough rest. All right. For you, 8 to 10 hours a day. All right. Or a night, actually. 8 to 10 hours is what you need. Some people only need 8 and they're good. Some people need closer to 9. They just, if you're grumpy, if you're like snappy all the time and all that, you might need a little bit of rest. And then, of course, eating nutritious foods. Right now it's really difficult with Corona break here, and we're all cooking and baking and making food and not, all that. Just try to do it in moderation and eat in moderation the best that you possibly can as far as the sweets and the yuck and the junk, and get your fruits and vegetables in, enough protein, plenty and plenty of water, right? Lots of water. We've been talking about that a lot there. And then, of course, play it safe, avoiding injuries. That will help you to not injure your communication system or your master system here, your nervous system. So that's what all of that will do. You want to nourish your nervous system. You want to protect your nervous system, and you want to rest your nervous system to where you'll be best. You'll be the best. All right. Normally we would have a test after chapters 5 and 6, but I'm skipping that test and going right into chapter 7 next time, and we'll talk about drugs and abuse. And I think it's really important to discuss before we finish up this year, and then we'll do the final exam. Not much longer, so hang on there and finish strong.